The all-new 22 Civic, now on sale at Team Honda on Siegen Lane.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling. Nothing could ever bring me down. Nothing could ever bring me down. Taste the feeling.
They said I could find you here. Why are you fishing? Our company's got to ship out 2 full color brochures and 20 color copies. You're killing me.
It's done. Designed, printed, packaged, and shipped.
How?
You just got to know the right people. Baker Printing, the printing people.
How come you get to fish in this private lake?
Like I said, you just got to know the right people. You can know the right people too.
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
Here's hoping all is well with you and yours in your world. Since the last opportunity we had to spend a little time with you, roughly 48 hours ago. We start today's show, as we typically do, with Louisiana news that impacts so very many of us. Here in the capital region, you know that in recent memory, flooding has been a major concern, particularly for individuals in Ascension, East Baton Rouge, and Iberville parishes along Bayou Manchac. There have been some pretty contentious times revolving around recent flooding where the leaders of these 3 parishes have, for lack of a better phrase, been pretty vocal about their dissatisfaction with their fellow parish leaders. Well, we start today's show with the tip of the hat to the leaders of Ascension, Iberville, and East Baton Rouge for finally putting all this contentiousness aside and coming to grips with the issue of improving the quality of life for all involved. Mayor President of East Baton Rouge Parish, Sharon Weston Broom, announcing this week that the city parish is proposing a partnership with Iberville to improve the drainage along Bayou Manchac. The mayor's office is calling this a, quote, cooperative endeavor agreement designed to clear Bayou Manchac from Highway 30 to the Alligator Bayou Flood Control Gate. This proposal, by the way, coincides with a similar agreement made recently with Ascension Parish. The goal, obviously, is to improve drainage along the entire length of Bayou Manchac to the Amite River. It is one of those things that affects so many people, and it's good to see the leaders of the parishes put whatever differences they had aside and come to grips with this. The mayor issuing a statement that reads in part, the leaders of East Baton Rouge, Iberville, and Ascension parishes are stepping up to bring meaningful drainage improvements to our citizens. President Orso and I believe a regional approach benefits all of our communities. Let's hope that this is the end of the contentiousness and maybe even more so the start of more cooperative agreements between the parishes that make up the capital region. Tip of the hat to those folks. In other news, speaking of a tip of the hat, and this one is a good news bad news scenario. In the city of New Orleans, 2 juveniles were arrested this week for armed robbery of a 34-year-old man. The 2 individuals that stole the man's cell phone at gunpoint were 11 and 14 years old. It is part of such a disturbing trend as we've watched the ages of armed perpetrators of crime get lower and lower and lower. An 11-year-old and a 14-year-old. Now, that's the bad news in this story. The good news, and I can't begin to imagine what the parents went through in making this decision. The good news and the tip of the hat in this story is to the parents who, by whatever means, found out that their 11 and 14-year-olds were responsible for this crime, took them back to the scene of the crime where they were identified by the victim of the armed robbery and arrested. For many of us, turning our children in, particularly for something that an 11-year-old did in an armed robbery, would bring us so many sleepless nights that you couldn't count them all. A lot of people may be of the opinion how sad it was for the parents to have to do this. And while there is probably validity to that statement, think how sad it would be if the parents did not do that, or if the 34-year-old man that was robbed at gunpoint had been armed and in fear of his life and had resorted to deadly consequences. You follow me here? As sad, as heartbreaking as it was to have to turn in your 11-year-old son for his part in an armed robbery, it actually could have been a heck of a lot worse. And the fact of the matter is, hopefully, the parents doing this will teach the 11 and 14-year-olds that there are, in fact, consequences to your actions. And who knows? None of us can see into the future, but this may be the wake-up call that these 2 young individuals needed. At the end of the day, that is one of the toughest things a parent will ever have to do. But when you consider all the factors involved there, they may well have saved 2 lives, not to mention potential future victims from what could have happened had these 2 individuals not be forced to take the consequences of their actions. I know it's probably tough for those parents. They are questioning all sorts of things, decisions they've made in their lives and how they've raised the 11 and 14-year-olds to this point. But at the end of the day, if nothing else, you have the consolation of knowing that you did the right thing. Finally, the Baton Rouge Police Department is investigating a crime that occurred here this week that fortunately did not end up with a fatality, but it's horrific nonetheless. An individual that, for whatever reason, saw fit to fire a gun at a passing car. I'm sure they will say they had no idea that this person was a passenger in the car when they saw fit to open fire. But their, got to be careful, selfish actions resulted in a 2-year-old being shot in the face. Fortunately, according to hospital officials, the 2-year-old is expected to survive. You know, it says a lot that individuals have arrived at a point in their lives and in our society where they have no thought of any consequences to their actions. No motive, no suspects thus far, but conventional wisdom says it's probably going to be a young person. I mean, the older you get, the greater the probability that you will have children. And certainly if you do, you have an appreciation for the lives of children. And many times we make certain decisions based upon the fact that if I do such and such a thing, there's a possibility that it will affect someone else, and God forbid, it's a child. A 2-year-old, y'all, shot in the face by some miscreant that thought no better about the general public, thought no better about their fellow Baton Rougeans than to fire on unarmed individuals in a car. I am hoping that anyone with information about the perpetrators of this crime, you know you can do it anonymously, 344-STOP. Call Crime Stoppers. Do the right thing. Aside from the fact that there will probably be a reward offered for solving this case, the real reward is for the individuals to step up to the plate and assist law enforcement in getting this individual off the streets. A 2-year-old was extremely fortunate this time. If this individual is allowed to remain on our streets, my gut tells me we may not be so fortunate the next time. Just saying. And you know, aside from the reward of financial compensation, aside from the reward of doing the right thing, just think, you may end up saving someone else's life by assisting police and getting this person off our streets. Pretty simple proposition, and it benefits us all. Well, except for the fool that shot a 2-year-old in the face. Of course, now, once you do that, you lose the right to any benefits other than 3 hots and a cot while you're locked up. Just saying. First break of today's show. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit about what a former president termed the enemy of the people, our media. That's next when we continue today's edition of the Clarence Bug Show, only on the Pelican. Stay close.
I owed the IRS $10,000.
The IRS garnished my wages.
They put a lien on my house.
I'm self-employed and didn't report all my income. They claim I owe a lot more than I do.
The IRS is the most powerful collection agency in the world. They do not give up until you pay.
I couldn't sleep. We were being audited. I called Tax Solutions Now, and a great big weight was lifted off my shoulders.
I called Tax Solutions Now, and they got the IRS off my back.
Tax Solutions Now had my wage garnishment lifted in 48 hours.
Tax Solutions Now can get you help. Our agents know the rules, can stop the pain, and get you the best deal.
Tax Solutions Now saved my business.
I qualified for the Fresh Start program. I paid less than I owed.
We connect you with a team of former IRS agents and tax professionals who get the IRS off your back. Time is running out. Call Tax Solutions now.
Call 800-778-4345. 800-778-4345.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to GreystoneCountryClub.com.
Go where summer leads you in an award-winning Mazda CUV. Find yours
during Mazda's season of discovery.
Call, click, or come by and discover your new Mazda today at Baton Rouge's Mazda dealer, Team Mazda on Airline.
Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent. Depend on us for service, for selection, for price. Get huge Whirlpool savings. Shop now and save on Whirlpool appliances throughout the store. Plus, experience our price match guarantee and ask about special financing. You can depend on the know-how of people who live appliances every day. Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent with nationwide buying power.
Hi, I'm Bobby Yarborough with Manda Fine Meats. Here at Manda, we know what the folks of South Louisiana love. They love great flavored smoked sausage, delicious deli meats, and specialty items like boudin and andouille sausage. Manda Fine Meats has been providing these products since 1947. We produce them right here in Baton Rouge, so you know you're always getting the freshest product at your local grocery store. Manda Fine Meats. Taste the fresh local flavor in everything we make. Make it Manda every time.
Welcome back to today's edition of the Clarence Bug Show. You know, as an American and a member of the, quote, media, one of the things that I find most disheartening is not just the lack of honesty from the media and particularly so-called journalists, but the way media outlets can frame a narrative to, one, distort the story, and two, attempt to scare the American public. Then President Donald Trump made a statement that ruffled a lot of feathers, particularly among members of the left and the mainstream media, that the media has become the enemy of the people. And of course, you remember all the furor, all the hoopla, all the outcry over that statement. And since making that statement, we have seen, God knows how many times, how the media has said something that, one, is either blatantly untrue, or two, they've twisted it to present to you and frame a narrative. One of those outlets is CNN LOL. And we've seen, God knows how many times, CNN would report something and we find out it's either almost the exact opposite or they've taken it out of context in an effort to instill fear in people. This week, CNN LOL ran a story warning Americans about the surge in guns being confiscated at TSA checkpoints in airports around America. Now, I don't know about you, but when I hear the term surge, I'm thinking a marked increase. I'm thinking a radical departure from what the previous norm was supposed to be. I'm thinking an increase far and above beyond what we have, quote, typically been seeing. Well, lo and behold, upon digging into the story, it was revealed that this surge in weapons being confiscated at TSA checkpoints in airports, in 2020, the TSA reported for every 1 million people that came through a TSA checkpoint in an airport, 10 weapons were confiscated. 1 million people went through, were checked. 10 people had a weapon and was confiscated. This year, the TSA reports that for every 1 million people that have passed through a TSA checkpoint, they have confiscated, wait for it, 11 firearms. So let me get this straight, CNN LOL. 1 million people, 10 guns confiscated. 1 million people, 11 guns confiscated. So an increase of 1 person per 1 million people equals a surge in weapons being confiscated. You see how they play us? Well, how they play you, because I don't believe anything that comes out of CNN LOL anymore. Nope, not by a long shot. An increase of 1 person per 1 million people, according to CNN LOL, is a surge that we need to be on the lookout for. If an increase of 1 person out of 1 million is a surge, thank God it wasn't, 15 instead of 10 out of 1 million, because by then it probably would be, an epidemic. And they wonder why we call them CNN LOL? Funny how that works, isn't it? Meanwhile, Katie Couric, longtime member of the mainstream media and allegedly respected journalist, is coming out with a new book. And in this book, she reveals how she edited comments from former Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg in order to protect her from the Democrats. In an interview with Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Katie Couric asked her about her feelings regarding individuals kneeling for the flag and or the national anthem. And Ruth Bader Ginsburg didn't cut any corners. She made no bones about the fact that she thinks it's disrespectful. She went on to say that most of the people refusing to acknowledge our anthem, their parents, grandparents, maybe entire lineage, would never have had the opportunity to excel to the level they have if they'd been living someplace else. Well, Katie Couric decided she would edit that, remove it from the interview because, according to Katie Couric, quote, she was old and probably didn't understand the question. My question would be, since when is it a journalist's job to protect an individual from whatever entity? You've heard me say God knows how many times. The truth is what the truth is, y'all. It doesn't matter who's affected, and it doesn't matter who delivers the message. If it's the truth, that's all that matters. Now, I am no Pollyanna. I get it. I understand. There are millions of my fellow Americans, probably tens of millions of my fellow Americans, that have a problem with the truth. We've seen it, how in previous years, issues that were black and white, not from a racial standpoint, from a clarity standpoint. It's pretty black and white. It's cut and dry. And of course, the left, the liberals that they are, have tried to distort this at every opportunity. At the end of the day, y'all, it doesn't matter if a Democrat tells you or a Republican tells you. If it's the truth, it's the truth. It doesn't matter if a black person tells you or a white person tells you. If it's the truth, it's the truth. Unfortunately, we as Americans have allowed the media to adopt, or at least coerce us into adopting, the philosophy of selective truth. Well, if I don't agree with it, it must not be the truth. No, if it's the truth, then the problem is you. It's a pretty simple proposition. Maybe, however, this is why the media and the politicians go to such lengths to distort the truth. Sadly, we as Americans in recent memory, we have lost the ability to think for ourselves. My late father, God bless him, was a big fan of education, but he also understood that there's a huge difference between being educated and possessing knowledge. At the end of the day, he would sum it up by saying, son, there's nothing worse than an educated fool. You can have all the degrees in the world, all the letters in the world behind your name, but without a little common sense, you're just an educated fool. All that education is useless. And sadly, seems like with every passing day, that's the direction that we're heading in America. Bottom of the hour break. When we come back, yet more proof positive of the disconnect between the leaders of this country and ordinary Americans. We'll talk about that next when we come back on today's edition of the Clarence Bugg Show, here and only here on the Pelican. Stay close.
Got termites? Get Premier Pest. PremierPestServices.com.
Hi, I am Dr. Farrell Frugier Jr., and I am a general dentist at Frugier Family Dentistry. I was born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I went to Catholic High School, LSU, and LSU School of Dentistry in New Orleans, where I received my DDS degree in 1986. I always have and will continue to be committed to continuing my education, to invest in technology which makes the diagnosis and delivery of dentistry more thorough, more comfortable, and more aesthetically pleasing. In our practice, we are here to serve the patients. We want to improve their quality of life and to develop relationships with our patients. In dentistry, we have a chance to impact lives on a daily basis, not just by doing dentistry, but by getting to know them and being a part of their life. We also believe in giving back to our community. So every year, we give back to the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank, Toys for Tots, and Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center. Please stop by and visit our office. We would love to take care of you and your family.
Hi, I'm Hurricane Betsy Barnes.
And I'm Dr. Kay Siller with the Rocket Right Show.
We are two busy blondes on the go showing off life in Louisiana.
Watch us on Pelican Sports Network.
And Talk 107.3 FM. Check local listings for times.
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
Caught spiders? Premier Pest Services.
Welcome back to today's edition of the Clarence Bug Show. If you are just joining us, you may have missed the tease at the end of the last segment, heading into the preceding commercial break, where I mentioned in this segment there's more proof positive about the disconnect between government and the American people, particularly the federal government. In recent memory, with the advent of the COVID-19 pandemic, we've seen censorship taken to an entirely new level. Not just censorship of opinions and ideas, but censorship as far as medical treatment of whatever nature ordinary Americans desire. You've heard, I'm sure by now, the number of people that have been castigated and demonized for simply using the word ivermectin. Oh, you talking about that horse dewormer stuff. Oh, them fools, that stuff can't help nobody. Oh, them people, ignoramuses. You've heard all of it. Well, this week, Pierre Corey, MD, a member of the organization Frontline Doctors, took to social media, to Twitter, and revealed to us what he calls a, quote, fun fact. Let me share his tweet with you, if I may. Pierre Corey, MD /MPA. I have no idea what MPA, what that acronym stands for. But the guy is a medical doctor. MD /MPA. He tweeted the following. Fun fact, between 100 and 200 United States Congress members, plus many of their staffers and family members with COVID, were treated by a colleague of mine over the past 15 months using, wait for it, ivermectin. None have gone to the hospital. Just saying. Huh. A medical doctor revealing to us that 100 to 200 members of Congress that had contracted COVID, along with staff members and family members, were treated with ivermectin. None of them went to the hospital. Now, it really makes a sensible, halfway thinking person wonder why all the demonization from the elites about individuals wanting, inquiring about ivermectin to treat their COVID. Can you say one set of rules for thee, another set of rules for me? Of course, now, guess we really shouldn't be all that surprised that they do one thing for themselves and then try to dictate for us something else. Not only is it a part of the disconnect, but it shows the incompetency that we have from the lowest to the highest levels of government. We have people, y'all, running the show in this country that don't have a freaking clue. It makes you wonder, how long has this been going on? And we simply, took it at face value, never questioned it, because certainly these people know what they're doing, and certainly these people wouldn't lie to us. How's that working out for you, Captain? Just a question. Just a question. Meanwhile, speaking of incompetency at the highest levels of government, you can't make this stuff up. This week, President Joe Biden boasting about shutting down drilling for oil and gas in the Alaska Wildlife Reserve. Oh, he was so proud of stepping up to the plate for the environmentalists to help save the planet. He was so proud, he just couldn't stop talking about it. So days later, less than a week after signing yet another executive order to kill the drilling in Alaska, the White House came out and confirmed that they are begging oil companies to give us cheaper oil and gas. So let me get this straight, Joe. I'm sorry, Brandon. Let me get this straight, Brandon. You, through the stroke of a pen, contributed mightily to reducing the supply of oil and gas in this country. And now you're begging oil companies to help you deal with the crisis that you brought about. I guess that sounds logic. I mean, most of y'all would have done the same thing, right? Right? Show of hands. Yeah, that's what I thought. So, first order of business upon getting into the White House was to cancel the Keystone XL pipeline. Months later, sign another piece of paper, shut down drilling in Alaska. You then go beg OPEC, excuse me, hey, this is Brandon. Can y'all put some more oil and gas on the market so we can try to keep prices down, because it's killing Americans? And of course, OPEC said, nope, no can do, Brandon. Sorry. So now he's resorting to begging the oil companies to help him out. You can't make this stuff up, y'all. Oh, and by the way, did I mention that the White House also announcing this week that this winter, get ready for a big increase in your utility bills to heat your home. Like we didn't know that this was coming, right? With inflation and, of course, the diminishing of our oil supply, The government announcing this week you can expect heating bills for some of y'all to jump by over 50%. It varies depending on what fuel you use to heat your home in the winter. For example, according to government energy officials, if you use propane to heat your home, you will probably see a 54% increase in your heating bill. If you use natural gas, you will probably pay 30% more than last year to heat your home. If you use gasoline to generate the electricity in the city where you live to heat your home this winter, you'll probably see an increase of around 43%. Now, you know what's most disheartening about this? Aside from the fact that inflation is not going to go away anytime soon, aside from the fact that it affects the most basic needs of our fellow Americans, is the fact that under then President Donald Trump, we had achieved energy independence. We didn't need oil and gas from anybody else, and prices were rock bottom. As a matter of fact, we had so much of it, we were selling it to other countries and making money. And in less than 10 months, under the Biden-Harris administration, look where we are. You know what's ironic, scary, and telling? Joe Biden will proudly claim to anyone who will listen that he has 4+ decades of experience in government. So if there's anybody out there that should be able to look at what happened in the past and make a sound decision for the future, conventional wisdom says it would be this guy. Of course, now he is a Democrat. So what does that tell you? He is a Democrat. What does that tell you? 40+ years in Washington, and he makes bonehead moves right off the bat, like canceling the Keystone XL pipeline, destroying our energy independence, putting thousands of Americans out of work. And of course, we pay for it through our utility bills, not to mention gas prices at the pump. I would say, I wish somebody would ask Brandon about this, but he can't take questions because he might get in trouble. Is that what you voted for? Well, like it or not, that's what you're stuck with. Final break of today's show. We'll get her done, come back, put that big old pretty bow on this puppy, and wrap up today's edition of the Clarence Bug Show, only on the Pelican. Stay close.
Hi, I'm Bobby Yarborough with Manda Fine Meats. Here at Manda, we know what the folks of South Louisiana love. They love great flavored smoked sausage, delicious deli meats, and specialty items like boudin and andouille sausage. Manda Fine Meats has been providing these products since 1947. We produce them right here in Baton Rouge, so you know you're always getting the freshest product at your local grocery store. Manda Fine Meats. Taste the fresh local flavor in everything we make. Make it Manda every time.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club. a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to GreystonCountryClub.com.
Tremonti's has meat. Tremonti's has seafood. Tremonti's has much more. Tailgating and home gating platters. Huge wine and liquor selection. Beer and all the spices you need. Chairman Reserve and Wagyu meats. Ribeye rolls, shrimp rolls, kebabs. 20 flavors of sausage for the grill. Daily lunch specials and game processing. On-site catering also available. Good meat ain't cheap and cheap meat ain't good. Visit Tremonti's.com.
Sometimes life is wonderful, and sometimes it's not. Cherish the good, but always be prepared for life's challenges. At Private Healthcare, we provide the peace of mind you deserve. With Private Healthcare, you'll get the coverage you want and healthcare you need. If your employer doesn't supply healthcare coverage and you don't qualify for Medicare or Medicaid, you need to give us a call right now. Private healthcare is private health insurance for ages 65 and under with medical, dental, vision, and even prescription coverage. When life comes at you unexpectedly, you need to be ready, and health insurance is your financial safety net. Health insurance has never been so easy and affordable. If you're looking for health coverage at the best price and your annual household income is $35,000 or more, call the number on the screen now and speak with a live healthcare consultant. Don't wait. Get the coverage you need now.
Welcome back to the final segment of today's edition of the Clarence Bug Show. You know, if you are fortunate enough to have good parents and fortunate enough as well to have them in your lives for a decent amount of time, the older you get, the more you appreciate their wisdom and what they try to impart to us. My late father, God bless him, Sarge instilled in all of his children at a very, very early age that being blessed to live in this country, you get to decide what your future will be. You get to decide how you impact others around you. You get to decide what your path in life will be. Sarge used to have a saying, a man should learn something new every day. No matter how big or how small, a man should learn something new every day. I know he's proud of me today because I learned something new yesterday, and this was from a day before, along with additional things. But I found out something you may not know. Black people don't celebrate Halloween. That's right. That's right. All those black kids you saw last year, ringing your doorbell and dressed up in costumes, yelling trick or treat, they apparently were an apparition, or as I like to say it when we get these liberal loonies on issues of race, apparently they were a pigment of your imagination. Not a figment, a pigment. A school in Seattle this week announcing they are canceling, imagine that, out of Seattle, their annual pumpkin parade. The reasoning, according to school administrators, is that they are striving to provide a safe space and equity for their students. And black kids don't relate to Halloween, and as a result, they may feel excluded. You ever notice something about liberals? Their solution to whatever the quote problem is let's just make everybody miserable. You ever notice that? Liberals have this amazing penchant to solve a problem by either one, solving a problem of discrimination, by either one, discriminating against somebody else, or two, let's just cancel it altogether. This school in Seattle, I've got to wonder, in canceling their annual pumpkin parade, where the kids dress up in costumes, come to school, and they march around the school and have a parade, etc., etc. What about the black kids that want to take part? What about the white kids that want to take part? What about what they want? Of course, that's, liberal logic. That is what that is. But it would seem to me a more reasonable, a more prudent approach, particularly since you are so concerned about equity and a safe space. It would seem to me a better solution would have been for those who may feel excluded because they can't, parents, afford a costume, pool your resources and help them out. Of course, that would take work. It's just easier to cancel it. At the end of the day, y'all, you know what our parents taught us: two wrongs don't make a right. And to solve a problem by creating a bigger problem never works. Speaking of race problems, have you heard, if you are a Rolling Stones fan, that they've decided to cancel one of their songs? Brown Sugar. You know the song. Mick Jagger announcing this week they are no longer going to perform the songs on any of their tours. Because apparently, according to Mick Jagger, there are some, quote, sisters that are upset with the lyrics from the 1971 song. They claim that the song glorifies the evils of racism. Now, for his part, Mick Jagger says, I have no clue where this came from or how they've come to this conclusion, because the song is about the evils of slavery. Listen, you have the right as an American to your opinion. You can look at something, analyze something, and whatever conclusion you come to, that's your right as an American. But I've got to wonder, of the people complaining about the dehumanization of black women by the Rolling Stones in the song Brown Sugar, how many of them have taken the time to complain and try to cancel the tens of thousands of songs by rap artists that have said a whole lot worse about my sisters of color? You know what I call that? selective indignation. You want to paint with a very, very broad brush certain individuals, institutions, ideas, and ideals, while at the very same time conveniently ignoring the problem, more so pervasive in your own community. So Mick Jagger says, you know what? We're just going to stop performing the song because I don't want to get into all of this right now. It makes no sense. Hopefully, at some point in the future, we'll bring the song back and we'll be able to perform it again. You know what's ironic? In between now and then, whenever they're able to perform the song again, there will not be a number high enough to count all the rap songs that will say seriously ugly, negative, demeaning things about black women, and not a peep will be said. Selective indignation. That's how the left works, y'all. 10655 Coursey Boulevard. Old School Barbecue. If you've not been yet, well, you're an American. You got a right to leave a deprived life. You know, it is what it is. If you are happy, not getting great food, great service, in a great atmosphere, well, hey, have at it. But if you want to step your game up a bit, come on by and see us. By the way, we tape the show live every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and we'd love to see you. It's a good group of people in a good place with lots and lots of good food. Now, as always, I don't ask you to take my word for it. Come find out for yourself. You'll be pleasantly surprised. That being said, my time's up, y'all, and I gotta go. Oh, by the way, looking forward this weekend, I will be in the Crescent City, honored to do play-by-play for the St. Aug and Westlake game at Tad Gormley Stadium. Hopefully, I'll see some of you there. Time's up and gotta go. Ooh, we gotta do this quick, Marty. You know what? You're right. This day, just like any other, I give it to you. America, we ain't perfect, but for this old boy's money, it's the best there is, and God knows there's no place else on his green earth that I'd rather be. Speaking of the good Lord, you do realize that he loves you, right? And I hope you know that I do too. Either way, there ain't a doggone thing you can do about either one. Take care of yourselves. We'll see you soon. God bless.